Everyone, welcome to the third section of data pre-processing. So in this section, we're going to learn techniques like discretization, binning, and filtering outliers, those concepts. Okay, so let's get started. First, let's create some data set to learn about binning, that is grouping together. Okay, so continuous data can be grouped together, discretized as like we can just group based on the values. Okay, that is called binning. So that can be done by the methods available in pandas, like that method. I have created a variable. Okay, so list with the ages. And now I'm going to use as like category. I'm just going to create a list to categorize these data. Okay, to categorize it. So maybe let's create a variable, put all those groups together. So 18, below 18, 18 to 25, and then 35. These are some threshold values. Based on these values, we are going to group it. Okay, so this one bins. Now we're going to use categories. Okay, we are going to use the cut method to categorize this. PD dot tab. Oh, I have to first input. So categories equal to pandas dot tab cut. You can see this cut method. Using that method, we are going to categorize this. Okay, so which one, the data that we want to categorize, the group of values, that is the first parameter that we are passing. And we are going to categorize the ages according to the values given in bins. Okay. So if you run this, let me display the values. You can see 20 that comes between 18 to 25, 27 that comes between 25 to one, let me see, 35. Okay, so this one 18 to 25, 18 to 25, 25 to 35, 18 to 25, 18 to 25, 35 to 16, like that. Whatever grouping that we have given inside this bins variable will be, the ages will be categorized accordingly. Okay, so the cut method will do this. So if you want to know more about the cut method, use shift tab. So go to that method and just press shift and tab. Okay, so that will give you documentation of this method. Whatever method you want to learn, just Jupyter Notebook provides this option, help method. Like you can just simply go hover over it and press shift and tab together. That will give you the documentation. Okay. Now we are going to use another method, parameter that is available. That is part of pandas, that is called codes argument. For example, if you want, by default, these will be categorized as a bank code, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that, it will by default it will be categorized. Okay, let's see those codes. You can see 0 category, 1, 0, 0, 2, 2, then 3, 2, 2, 1. Like that, it will just categorize according to the code given. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. It will just take and then it will just order it based on the value. That is codes parameter. Can use categories. What it will do, it will just give you the group that whatever we got with this grouping that is saved in the variable that will be categorized inside, and that you can retrieve by using categories method. Okay, and then there is another method called value counts that will just count number of elements in each bin. For example, how many elements are there? How many list of elements are there in this 18 to 25 category? How many elements are there inside 25 to 35? So that we can keep track by using value counts. PD dot tab value counts category. You can see 5 values that comes under 18 to 25, 3 under 25 to 35, 3, 35 to 60, and 1 under 60 to 100. Okay, that is value count method. We can also give our own names. Okay, not only we don't need to get this, we have given the threshold values, but also we can name that categories by using some labels. Okay, there is an attribute called label. By using that, we can, for example, let's create a variable for this age group. Okay, let's say that 18 to 25 means youth, and then the 25 to 35 young adult, then next 35 to 16 middle aged, and then after that senior. Okay, let's give that labels. Let's say that in a list variable. And how can we assign it into the category, to the binning? PD dot cut method, where we are passing ages and then bins. And for labels, we can use that attribute called labels. For the labels, we have to pass this group names. So in this way, we can give names. You can see instead of saying 18 to 25 or 00 for code, it will say the labels, whatever that we have assigned in this variable. Okay. So that like cut method, that is another method called QCut method. So what this QCut method will do, depending on the distribution of the data, that is given data, if you use cut, it will just usually run in each bin. Like it may be different number of elements in each bin will vary, whatever value that we have given for the bin. But if you use QCut, that it will sample all the quantiles instead, so that we will get equal sized bin. Like each bin will have equal number of values. Okay, it will just equally distribute the values. If you want to do that, you can use QCut method. For example, to try this, let's create a random sample with 1000 values. Okay, we have created food. Okay, I have created a random sample with 1000. Now I'm going to use the QCut method. Okay, so data dot QCut, and then data, how many quantile, like how many bins that we want to create, that meant that value that we can give here. Okay, so for QCut method, only we have to give how many bins that we want. Sorry, PD dot. Okay, so let's see what is there inside this cats. You can see it just equally the 1000 floating point value will be there. It just equally group everything into 4 different values. If you want to see what is that inside, you can see code. See 0, 1, 2, 3. Only this code will be there. Let's use values counts to see whether it has all that 1000 values. Is like it should have 250 for each bin, right? Let's try value counts to see whether it have equal number of elements inside each bin. Counts, sorry, value counts. The first bin has 250 values, second bin has 250, third bin has 250. You can see it has equally distributed among all 4 pins. Okay. You can even assign some values to that. Okay, so next we are going to find out, we are going to explore what are the methods available to detect the outliers in the given data set. Okay, so let's create a random data with 1000 values. Okay, so let's see how this randomly created data set looks like by using describe method. You can see statistical information about the data by using the describe method. In case if you want to do some outlier filtering on this created data set, for example, let's say that you want to find all the values which exceeds 3 in absolute value. What do I mean absolute value? It could be +3 or -3. Okay. How can we do that? Let's create the column data 2. Okay, data 2. One of the columns. So we are going to do it on this column. The second data to this column, we are going to do this. Okay, so this column, we are going to find the absolute value of that column, which is greater than 3. Which is greater than 3. That is the filter. Only one thing, the row number 723. Let's try one more. This time for the new data set that we have created, we can see that there are 5 rows that is value greater than absolute 3, that is +3 or -3 in both negative or positive 3. Okay, to select all the rows having a value exceeding 3 minus, you can use any method, like you can simply say any as a method that also will do the same thing. For example, np dot absolute in the data. Okay, not only for this particular column, you want to do that for the whole column. Okay, so greater than 3 dot any. You can see it gives, so this row has greater than 3 value, and here this column has, and in this row we have this column, like that. In all the columns, if any one of the column has value greater than or less than +3 or -3, it will retrieve it by using any method. Okay. Okay, now let's do a method. Let's use the method called sign. How we can use that sign method to change this. For example, let's say for all the values as the absolute value in the given data greater than 3, we're going to use the sign method. Okay, that multiply it with 3 so that everything will be normalized. How it looks like. Okay. If you want to see what the sign method does to the data set, apply the sign. Okay, and let's see the first 25 rows. You can see it just normalize everything so that it will have either +1 or -1. Okay, so this is how we can deal with the outliers. We can filter out the outliers like this. The next we're going to see permutation and random sampling. So permuting is randomly reordering a series or rows in the data frame. So it is easy to do by using, that is a function called a permutation function, which is there in NumPy as part of random package. So if you use NumPy dot random dot permutation function, you can do this permuting. Calling permutation with the length of an axis that you want to permute produces an array of integers indicating a new ordering. And maybe I will some examples. For example, I'm just creating a data frame, okay, with this shape. See how it looks like. Okay, this is the data creating. So if I use the permutation function, see, sampling, how I'm doing this sampling by using the permutation function. Let's create a variable called sampler, and the permutation function is there in random library, which is there in NumPy package. Okay, permission use app 5. Okay, I'm going to do that for 5 sampling. Let's see what is there in the sampler. So see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, but how it is getting sampled that you can see here. Okay, so to apply reordering, it's not in the order form. If you want to apply the reordering, we can use the take method, df dot tab. You can see that based on the sampler that we have created, you can see order 0, 2, 1, 4, 3. So 3 it is 12. So based on the sampling, whatever permutation that you have given in the sampler, based on that, it will get grouped together. Okay. To select a random subset without replacement, you can use sample method on series and data frame. Sample, you can even do that by sampling. Okay, every time you run this, you will get different rows that will get picked up. For example, the same data frame, if you use the method called sample, you see, sample method is that. Every time you run it, you will get different. It will get ordering in different way. Okay, so that is sample. So let's create, let's see how we can use it in series. Let's create a series. Let's apply the sample method on the series. And let's create draws, choices. On that, we're going to apply sample. We're going to put it again equal to 10. We use phase 2. Let's see what happens. You can see. So all these values, how it is getting printed as 10 cross 10 value 0, that has, and then 3, 6, 0, 5. So how it is sampling it together with the series 5, 7, minus 1, 6, 4. So this is the series that we have created, right? So how many times 5, 6? There is no minus 1, but 4 is there, 6 is there. Okay, 10 times it is getting sampling together. So sampling will give you a different value for different results. Each time you do sampling, it will give you different result, right? So let me run it again. And now this time you will see 5, 4, minus 1. This time it doesn't, it has everything. 5, 7, all the values are there. Okay, let me run it again. This time you can see also it has all the values. So every time you run it, it will give you different values. This time it is minus, it has 1, minus 1. You can see how the sample work. Every time you run this, you'll get different rows that will get picked up. Okay. So this will be useful for gaming applications because randomly it is getting, it will just pick some values and assign it with some sample values. we are going to see dummy variables, computing indicator and dummy variables. So there is another type of transformation that you need to be familiar with, or particularly for statistical modeling or any kind of machine learning application. You have to convert, you should be able to convert the categorical variable into dummy variable for some temporary time frame. Okay. If a column in a data frame has, let's say, k distinct values, you would derive a matrix or data frame with k columns based on the different category. Okay. It can contain zeros or ones. So it's like this can be done when you have a temporary dummy variables. It can be easily grouped together. For example, let's create a data frame. Okay, let's create a data frame, and let's use pandas has method called get dummies to perform this. Okay, get dummies, where we are keys. What are the key? A, B, C. Okay, these are the three keys. So when you run this, okay, 0 to 5. The labels are 0 to 5. Range 6 means 0 to 5. And then A, B, C. How many times A, how many B's are there, how many C's are there? Just creates other values as dummy variable. We'll just keep it, but the other values will be replaced with 0. Okay, if there is no value, then it will be replaced as 0. So in some cases, you may want to add a prefix to the columns in the indicator, which can be merged with other data. Okay, so we can even add a prefix for that. For example, get dummies df key prefix. Okay, let's add this. Okay, so if you run it, you can see we have added key for each. We have added a prefix. Okay, so now let's do join operation where we're going to add this. Now it has only key. Now we are going to add it with the data. Okay, how can we do the data frame with the dummy variable? We're going to add it by using join. Data 1, join dummies. Add in that. One, these things. Okay, so like this, you can even use this, like take the advantage of this get dummies method to create a new data set where if there is a value, then it will be set the Boolean value 1, or else it will be set 0. Okay, so like this, you can create a dummy data set. Okay, for the next operation, we are going to try using some of the data set available. I'm going to use the textbooks data set, which is given in the textbook GitHub repository. So I'm going to use it. The URL of the repository is, just go to the GitHub of the textbook, which if you go to the textbook in the front page, the prefix page, you can find the GitHub data set. So this is from that, I'm going to pick a data table, like table, which is movies. Okay, so if you want to read a table from the website, you can use the read table method and pass this URL. You can see it will pick that table. We can easily convert that into CV by using toCV method. So df tab toCSV method will convert the table into CV. So what I have done, I have just give the URL of the table from where I'm going to download it. Instead of downloading, you can just give the URL and then use the read table method and save it as a data frame. And then from that data frame, you can convert that into CSV file. You can just give any name for that. For example, this one, I'm going to as film or movies.csv. Okay, I have created and I have just given some name and saved it as CSV file. And now I'm going to create the list of header. Okay, we are see comedy comes like it has a journal, but it is not there as a separate value. Now we are going to create a separate column for that. Okay. We'll show you where is that data set. The data set that I'm going to get. This is about the textbook page. So I'm going to create a column so that I can categorize it like comedy, fantasy, romance, drama, like that. I'm going to categorize it. To create the category, I'm creating a new list. Okay. So genres. So the category of the variable. So I'm going to create the columns. Right now it doesn't have any column. So I'm just creating a variable that hold all those things together. Okay, now I'm going to the read CSV function. We have saved it as a CSV, right? So we can use the read CSV function and movies.csv. I already saved this as movies.csv, so it should be that. Separator, you can look at this, how it is getting separated with this double colon, right? So that we can use the double colon separator. Okay, now we are just categorizing. We are working on categorizing the values. It is like this. We are going to categorize into different column. Okay, and then we are going to naming the column, the names that we have already created and saved. We want to save it as whatever is that created this list. We want to categorize it accordingly. Okay, so this one will do that. It's fine. Now let's see first 20 rows. You can see the ID, the title, and rest, all those things got categorized. You can see this. This is a little bit confusing, right? Children, animation, comedy. But when you do this kind of processing, it categorize it in a neat way, right? Okay. To extract the list of unique genres in the data set, just to see what are the basic categories are there. Let's create category. Let's create an empty list. Okay, so to iterate through the movies in each file, in each column, you have to split the category, which is separated. You can see that how it is separated. It is separated by this. You can see this dash, right? This vertical dash, it is separated. So now we are going to iterate through this for X in movies, the file in movies dot that we are going to categories, right? All category. Use the extend wherever there is a split. The split will be with this symbol. Whenever is there, split it and put it together. Okay. Now let's see what is there in this all category. You can see many number of unique categories are there. Okay, that has been splitted and put separately, like all categories. Okay, so it is all categories will be like animation children means animation children will be splitted and displayed here as an extended value. But if you want to see how many total number of categories are there, then you can use the unique method. Okay. PD dot unique method and apply this all category. What is that in this variable? Only these many categories are there. Okay. That's about section 3. Okay, so let's do a short review on what we have discussed in this section 3 of data pre-processing. We have discussed about binning variables where we learned how we can use this cut method and group the values according to this threshold value. Okay, so cut method will help us to categorize the value binning and put it in some 2 different bins. And QCut method is that the QCut method will keep, in QCut method, we can just give how many bins that we want to categorize, and all the samples will be placed in those bins in equal number of values. Okay, if you have 5 bins and 1,000 data elements are there, and if you want to categorize it into 5 bins, then each bin will have 400 values. Okay, if you want to put it in, sorry, each bin will have 400 values. If you want to put it in 4 bins, then it will be 200 values. Like that, it will be categorized. Okay, QCut method. And also you can use the code and categories method. The codes will give you the 0, 1, 2, 3 as a label, and categories will give it in the range that you have given inside this binning. And then value count will tell you how many values are there inside each bin, how many elements are there inside each bin. After that, we discussed about outliers, filtering outliers, where you can use this logical operator and just filter any values. Filter by using the logical operation, you can just filter out any condition. Okay, and then any will apply to all columns. And if you want to be particular about one particular column, then you can just specify that column like this. Okay, and then you can apply any kind of operations to perform filtering. And then we discussed about permutation, where you can do the sampling. Okay, where you can do the sampling and grouping. The sample method is that which will randomly pick the values each time you run it. We did it both in data frame and then series. Okay, then in the last example, we picked some real-time data, movies.date, which you can see in the GitHub repository of the textbook. So we are just, that will be saved, that is saved. The textbook in the GitHub repository, it was like a table. So to retrieve what I did, I used the read table method and passed this URL and saved it as a data frame. And then I converted the data frame to CSV. So this is what you have. Use any of the data from the GitHub. First, you have to save that address in the URL. And if it is a CSV file, read it as a CSV file. This one is a table file. So I use the read table and save it as a data frame and then convert it as a CSV file. Okay. And then what I did here, I created a column. It doesn't have any column names, title here. Okay, the labels are not there. So I just injected some column names here. Okay, by using names, mnames parameter, you can create a column header like this. Okay, you can create a column header of your own choice and you can insert it by using names parameter. And then what I did, there are different categories are there. I just use the split function, pull all the categories separately. And then I used unique method By using that unique method, I just pulled all the unique categories. Okay. So that's going to learn about string manipulation. Thank you.